Hello, all you beautiful people out there. What is going on? This is your friend Brady coming at you fast with another Paragon Bees Builds video. And today we are going to be looking at the Lieutenant. That's right, because she's lit as fuck. The Lieutenant. Lieutenant Belica. That is how you pronounce her name, okay? Lieutenant Belica. I know I said Belica, like bye Belisa, bye Felicia. But yeah, there's Lieutenant Belica. Super sexy. Super nice. That's her challenger skin. All right, you got her Polar Strike skin, which one of my favorite recolors in the game. All right, I got a weakness for blondes. I love me some blondes, especially with that white camo. It just looks so nice. That white and gold dress. You know what I'm saying? Oh, only veterans of memes will remember that. And then we got the Master Belica skin, which looks super sexy. But we're not looking at her as a hero. We're looking at her deck. I said deck, okay? Not her dick. We're looking at her deck. The Lieutenant. So let's go into it right now. So the way we're going to build her real quick is we're going to build her as she's supposed to be built, as a burst damage mage. But of course, with Paragon, you never want to build a straight up one type deck. I like to build hybrid decks. I think hybrid decks are the best decks. They're the most situational decks, and they're the most helpful and beneficial decks to yourself and your team. So that's why we're going to build her that way. So we're going to build her with some damage. We're going to build her with some pen, because we do want to deal a lot of damage with her. We're going to build her with a little bit of health. And we're going to build her with some armor and cooldown. We're going to max out cooldown on her by not even focusing on it too much. And this is going to be insane, because I don't know if y'all played her with cooldown, but when she gets to spam her knock-up ability and her bomb ability over and over and over again, she deals massive damage, because that's the majority of her damage is her abilities. So obviously, just like you give attack speed to a ranger, you want him to use it, or her auto attacks more often, you want your burst mages especially to use their abilities more often so they can deal more damage faster. That's why cooldown is really important on a hero like Lieutenant Belica. So, we're going to start off with a cast token, a health potion, and a mana potion, because her abilities do use up a lot of mana. Her bomb ability, which I will go over in her guide in more detail, does give you back some mana, but it's usually only hits one person, because it's pretty easy to move out of the way unless you CC them in it, and usually you can only hit one person anyway. It doesn't refund your mana that well when it does happen, so you do use up a lot of mana, okay? She is a mana whore, alright? She's very hungry for mana. She loves that mana D, so we need to give it to her. Giggity. So anyway, with all that inappropriate stuff out of the way, let's move on to the first item that you want to build, and that is the Sage's Ward right here. Sage's Ward. We're going to put 3 minor casts in here. Fully upgraded bonus gives us another 6.5 energy damage, and a lot of you guys have been wondering why I don't slot my items. Honestly, it's because I'm an old person. Not really, but when it comes to this game, I've been playing it since March, and way back when, back in the old days, back in my time, we didn't have no slotting. We literally had all of our cards freehand, so we had to memorize all of our builds and just do it like that. So I just got used to that, and I never really linked my cards. But honestly, there's no foul in linking cards, because you can add unlinked cards, right, and then replace those unlinked cards into your build instead, right? Because when they first added in linked cards, you had no choice. You had to use the cards you linked. So that's why I was a little resistant against it, but they changed it, so now it's all good. So that's why I'm linking them now. Sorry for the confusion in my past videos, but this should make it a bit easier. So there we go, Sage's Ward with 3 minor casts. The next card you want to build is Amp Crystal with another 3 minor casts. And this is going to give us a full upgrade bonus of mana, okay? You do want to build a lot of mana on her, but we're going to be building it passively through the full upgrade bonuses while focusing on everything else, because you do want to focus on a lot of stuff when it comes to Lieutenant Belica, because not only is she a burst mage, she can also be built like a support, and we're kind of doing it hybridy so she can survive in a team fight long enough to deal a decent amount of damage. And of course, you want to stack damage as much as you can early in the game, because she's really, really strong early game. She really is, especially when she gets her ultimate. It does quite a bit of damage in early game, mixed with all of her other abilities. So then after that, we are going to go with a little bit of sustainability. And now this is going to depend on your situation. So usually I go with Eldermage Amulet as the third one, okay? That is 99% of the time you're going to go with Eldermage Amulet as the third card that you're going to slot, so we're just going to assume that you're slotting it, and you're going to go with 3 lesser healths to start off with to get yourself a little bit of health in the beginning. You know, give yourself some sustainability in the team fights. This is going to give you 600 total health in the beginning from this, plus you also have the 100 health from Sage's Ward, so you're going to have a pretty decent amount of health here in the beginning of the game, and that's really, really good. Notice how we're still using lessers, because we're going to be replacing some stuff here near end game, but for now you want to just make yourself really, really good, really durable early game, because she doesn't have a getaway, so you do need to make her a bit tanky, and yes, she has her knockup, which kind of helps in getaways, but she doesn't really have one that's a mobility-based getaway. If you're being attacked by more than one person, it might be a bit difficult to get away, so you do want to be a bit tankier, even in the beginning of the game. Even though you are keeping your range, you never know, man. I mean, Chimeras nowadays just straight up leap on you, balls first, you know, balls to the wall, head first. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but they go, you know what I mean, right? They jump on you, they ult you, and bam, you're dead, unless you have some health. So that's what we're working with here. Although both balls and head first are very funny innuendos if you think about it. But anyway, why are we so dirty today? Jesus Christ. I'm just trying to make a build, guys. Alright, anyway. So the next 2 cards are going to be your resistance cards, and that's going to be your Etherweave Mesh and your Quantum Casing. Now, this is where I say it depends, and this is where I say it becomes situational. Now, if you are in a comfortable position, if you have not been dying much, if you have been steamrolling the enemy team, keep on going with the damage, okay? Replace your first amp crystal now with the second amp crystal that has 3 major casts instead of 3 minor casts, okay? If you're steamrolling, if you're feeling confident, if you're feeling, you know, cocky, that, you know, you're good, you're not dying much in team fights, then do that. If everything's kind of chill and everything's going, you know, according to plan, then start up and start building your resistance cards, okay? Because not only are they going to give you resistance, they're also going to give you 10% cooldown each. So by the time you're done building them, you're going to have 20% cooldown reduction, which is really good, okay? It takes your bomb timer from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. I'm not exactly sure if it is 10 seconds. Don't quote me on that. I'm just using that as an example, which 2 seconds is a lot of time when it comes to MOBAs, all right? You think about how quickly you die when a Chimera jumps on you and ults you. It's pretty darn quick. So 2 seconds does make a big difference, especially since the bomb, if we're speaking so specifically about it, has a 2.5 second windup, which is really easy to dodge, like I said earlier. So you do want to be able to use it a lot. Alright, so we have that. So we have 4 points to buy the Etherweave Mesh. I don't know why I said Machete? Mesh. Etherweave Mesh, which gives you energy resistance. We're going to go 3 barriers to give ourselves a total of 10 points in this card. That's going to give us our 7.5 cooldown reduction. And then Quantum Casing with the 4-point Quantum Casing card and the 3 guards in there, which is going to give us 7.5 cooldown reduction as well. This is going to end up giving us over 100 armor for sure. If I can do the math real quick, that's 154 if I did the math in my head real quick. Yeah, 154 armor for both energy and physical, which is really good. That's what we like to see, plus 10% cooldown from each. So now we're at 20% cooldown. And then the next card we're going to go with, now again, it depends on what you want to do. Whether, if you're starting to fall off damage-wise, if you're noticing that you're not doing much damage with your abilities anymore, go with Crystal Conduit and get yourself some physical pen to cut through the armor that most people have probably built by now. If you're good, if for some reason they're not building physical armor, not physical armor, energy armor, then you can go Pendulum of the Lords, which is going to give you the rest of your 20% of cooldown, plus some more health, which is going to replace your Eldermage Amulet, okay? You're going to get rid of your Eldermage Amulet, you're going to replace it with Pendulum of the Lords, and it's going to give you more health, all right? And that's how that's going to work, because you have that greater health at the end. You have 2 advanced chronos and 1 greater health in this card. So again, that's why it's situational. But in the description of the video where the build is, we're going to assume that we're not doing much damage at this point, because usually you're not. So we're going to go with Crystal Conduit, and we're going to put in 2 shocks and 1 major shock. I can't talk this video, guys. Anyway, 1 major shock, and that's going to give us a lot of pen. It's going to give us over 100 pen. All right, if I do my math correctly, it's going to give us, what's that, 80, 112. Okay, yeah, it's going to give us 128 pen, which is really nice. All right, 128 pen. That pretty much cuts through almost all of our armor if we're assuming that people build the armor the same way we build it. Okay, it's going to leave a little bit left, but we're not too worried about that. At that point, you're still doing a decent amount of damage. And I like this card because it gives you a full upgrade bonus of another 150 mana. And like I said, you want a lot of mana so you can spam your abilities a lot because they're going to be recharging really quick, like with all of that cooldown reduction that you've put in. With Pendulum of the Lords coming 6th late game when you need to start bursting people down in comparison to their armor even more because you need to use your abilities more. So this deck scales really well throughout the game. I've noticed in comparison with other heroes, it's made my life very easy. Even when I don't win the games, I still have really, really good games. When I play, I remember the first time using this deck, and we played against a stack of people, which you guys will see the gameplay of that in the guide. I start off the game going 6-0-2 or something like that with this deck. It's great. It's an amazing deck. I love it. It's so nice. Check it out. Try it out. It's a bit confusing, I know, so we're going to go through it real quick again. All right. Start off with a token. You're going to start off with a Health Pot, Mana Pot, Cast token. Then you're going to go into Sage's Ward with 3 minor casts, Amp Crystal with 3 minor casts. Then you're going to go Eldermage with 3 lesser healths. Then you are going to most likely replace your first Amp Crystal with a second Amp Crystal that gives you 3 major casts instead. Then you're going to go with your Etherweave Mesh and or Quantum Casing, depending on what you want to build first. It does not matter. It matters a little bit depending on your enemy situation, but usually they're balanced anyway. Etherweave Mesh with 3 barriers, Quantum Casing with 3 guards. Okay, you want to get rid of your Eldermage Amulet in exchange of Pendulum of Lords at some point. And you want your Crystal Conduit. You could get rid of your Eldermage Amulet for Crystal Conduit as well. It doesn't matter. Just depends on how you want to build her. This is where I leave the creativity up to you guys, but it's pretty much the same thing. Crystal Conduit with the Shock, Major Shock, and the last card that I like to build, Pendulum of the Lords, 2 Advanced Chronos, and 1 Greater Hell. So hopefully this guide has been helpful. If it has, drop a like. The freaking support on this channel has been insane, guys. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to be doing a giveaway in the future, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you're following me on Twitter as well, because I'm going to be doing it through there partially. You're definitely going to want to be following me on Twitter so you know when it happens. But besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, make sure you all have a wonderful day. Bye, Belica.